And and I guess you got to watch those ex-girlfriends too, right? Because I noticed that you had the worst day of your life and the best day of your life. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So, one of my ex-girlfriends called my job and got me fired, my last
Jeez.
job. And it was really,
What did she
they made it.
say? What did she tell him?
So I was a teacher at a university.
Hmm.
Okay. And I was teaching on a master's program. And at the last university I taught at, after I left, okay, that after I stopped working there, I was dating a student, except for she was 1 year younger than me. I was 28, she was 27. It wasn't like I was dating a college student. She was a master's student.
Hmm.
And they made it into this thing that it wasn't. I was not dating someone while I was working there, while I was her teacher, none of those things. And she was not like a high school student or a college student. This was a master's student who was the same age as me, right?
Right.
And hadn't worked out. It had been, we dated for and by the way, we dated like 6 months, like a really long relationship. It only ended because my visa ran out, I had to leave countries. But the school spun it into something that it totally what my new employer was like, oh, we can't have you dating students. I was like, I would never do that. It's not what happened, right? I did, like yeah, you can spin it into this one way, but it's like, no, this person was the same age as me. I wasn't her teacher anymore. It was after I'd stopped working there, but
I don't
none of
know.
those
You're
things
robbing the
mattered.
cradle, 27,
I'm 27 and I'm 20, and I was 28. It was like
I know.
really, but
This
it,
was in
when
London?
people,
Was this so when you were in London?
yeah, this was in London. And I mean, we had a really serious relationship. If my visa hadn't run out, we'd probably have gotten married. Like it was a really serious relationship. And the timing ran out for us, but the school was already looking for a reason to get rid of me because I really struggle to fit into a corporate or an environment anywhere with a lot of like a really large staff because the larger and larger the bureaucracy, the more it's about perception, not reality. So they would give me projects that were supposed to last for 6 months and I couldn't do it. It would take me 30 minutes or an hour. And I go, how did anyone spin this into months of work? I can't even imagine
That's
what's.
that's why I hate the corporate stuff. You have to have a 2-week committee meeting to take a leak. You know, it's just
Well,
I can't understand these people that they're just worthless slugs that just want to sit there and do nothing. I mean, it's not in my DNA. It's obviously not in your DNA.
well, the way those systems are built is they're time based. So any job where you're basically they measure your output by time is probably that's one of the worst measurements of someone's work,
Hmm.
right? Because two people, like let's say you and me are in a race. I'm very slow. So maybe we each run for 8 hours and you run 10 miles and I run one, but they pay us the same because we both ran for the same amount of hours.
Yeah.
That's how most companies work because they don't have the ability to assess your output. And this especially happens once you start inserting middle managers into a company or multiple layers of middle management. You have people that don't have a vested interest in output. They switch into a CYA mode. Like they're all about protecting their own job and like getting the next promotion more than anything else. So, for example, let's say you're a manager and you have an employee who's really underperforming. If you report that employee, it makes you look bad. So maybe you don't get your next promotion. So they have these structures that actually reward misbehavior and misreporting. And I remember I had every conversation I had at that job was so weird because I didn't come from an environment of like, I hadn't been doing this type of culture for 10 years of bureaucracy where I knew the games and where I knew like everything is like a trick and everyone
Right.
is like trying to plot against each other. And I just couldn't understand why they would care about these things. I remember one time someone got really jealous that I had a new chair in my office. And I was like, well, when I started my job, there was no chair. So it's not that I got a new chair, it's that I got a chair. And they got real like they were jealous of like really weird things. I was like, no, no, no. When I started, there wasn't a desk, there wasn't a chair, and there wasn't a computer. So they had to get those things because they didn't, it's not as though I got an upgrade, right? But people got really jealous of
But
things
can
like
you
that. And then
imagine the mentality of a worthless slug like that? That, that's their biggest problem in life. You got a
it's
chair to
yeah.
sit on. Oh
And,
man.
I mean, you're talking about a $50 chair. It wasn't like I got a sweet air on, like
Yeah.
1,000. Like, I would
Right.
understand that it was like a cool $1,000 chair or like a massaging
Would
chair.
they have been happier if you'd had like a milk crate or something?
No, they would have been like, well, why you got a milk crate?
Yeah.
Like, what did you do to earn the milk crate? And I don't, because I hadn't come from that culture, I don't know how to respond to that type of
I
question.
know.
Right?
I would have
I've
thought they
never
were
thought,
kidding, you know.
well, yeah. And that's the problem.